All right, what's happening, everybody? I'm super excited to be going live to all of you right now this week. So I was saying I have a special announcement to make. Well, that announcement is that this week it will be my birthday, and it will be my 51st birthday on July 9th. So to celebrate, I will be offering 51% off on all memberships to my online drum school, Stanton Moore Drum Academy. And we've been working hard on filming a bunch of new lessons and introducing a bunch of new courses. So now I have an ebook that has a lot of the written materials that go along with the Academy lessons. There's a whole new course, Drumming Skills to Pay the Bills, and that covers a lot of the things that I feel that you need to know if you want to get more work as a drummer. And there's also the shuffle course, the 5 funk beats you need to know. And soon, there will be coming a shuffle fills course. And as a member of the Academy, you get access to all of these educational elements that we've been putting together. My man, Nick Solnick, is manning the controls over here. We got the Nick Cam. And then we've got Brian Santos helping out. Brian, you can wave in there in the Nick Cam. So there he is. Santos is helping out because Nick is still in recovery mode. And but he's doing good. He's here.
I'm alive.
He's alive. He's alive. So cool. Super excited to talk to y'all, interact with y'all, answer your questions, and play for y'all. So if you're interested in checking out what we've got in the Academy, there's a link to sign up and take advantage of this 51% offer. We're going to be running this for a few days, but it's going to be going away. So take advantage of that if you've been thinking about signing up for the Academy. And I am very proud of all the materials that we've been putting together, really answering a lot of drummers' questions and really giving you the stuff that you're going to really need to know if you really want to start working, gigging, playing more shows, playing more sessions, and bringing in some more income playing the drums. So I've been listening to your requests and your concerns about what y'all need to know, and we've been in here working hard at filming that. And Big Stan Zlatkowski and his team with Raina and Russ and Chris, they've all been helping us edit all that stuff, and we've been putting together a lot of great new material inside the Academy. So without talking too much, I want to play for y'all. So right now I'm going to play a tune that I've had the pleasure of playing live a good bit lately with Eric Krasno and Eric Finland with the Eric Krasno Moore project. And we've been touring a good bit and been having some great shows. So this is a tune that we put together that is a cover of a Sharon Jones tune called Nobody's Baby. So right now I'm going to go ahead and play our take on this, and then we'll get into answering some questions and interacting with y'all. So get your questions ready, and please drop them in to the comments because we'll be fielding those as soon as we get done with this. So we like to have some of those questions and comments and concerns lined up. So start entering those now, and Nick will start reading those out to me as soon as we get done with this tune. So let it rip, Nick. All right. So, that tune is a lot of fun to play. It was really fun to put our take on that great tune by Sharon Jones. So, I'm going to let y'all start posting your questions. Nick, let me know what we've got coming in. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff.
Got quite a few.
Let's see. What was a lot? One of the ones I saw first ones I saw was how did you start developing your technique?
That's a great question. So I was really fortunate to study with a great teacher when I was, to be honest, I didn't really start taking private lessons until a little later. I didn't really start taking until I was in a sophomore in high school. And I started studying privately with Marty Hurley because he was the band director and the drumline instructor at Brother Martin High School. So Nick's given some instruction to Santos. So we're not used to having a second engineer in here. So I was lucky enough to start studying with Marty Hurley, and all of that was very rudimental and foundationally based. And then as I started getting out of high school and started playing gigs and going to Loyola College and studying with Johnny Vodakovich, I really tried to get away from the rudimental thing, and I really tried to loosen up a lot. And at times I might have loosened up a little bit too much. And then I started learning how to ride the line and then be able to dip into the rudimental stuff when I needed to, and then be able to loosen up when I needed to. So I feel like over time I've gotten better at being able to go between those two things, kind of being able to really play loosey-goosey and then also be able to call up some more precise rudimental stuff. You know, I mean, for kicks, let me just, I'll play in a really loosey-goosey style and then like start adding in some more rudimental stuff, right? Like for kicks, to show you how I've been working on this lately, trying to go between kind of right now, like kind of like a Johnny V type of second line, and then adding in more rudimental stuff. Now, I can ride that line a little bit more when I'm playing a quicker second line type of thing, something more in like the 120 range. I've been doing this a lot when we're playing stuff like Baker's Dozen. That works great because it's more at a tempo that you can really go back and forth between some of the slushy New Orleans stuff and some of the more rudimental stuff. And even with that, I'm trying to intentionally not play it too militaristic. I'm putting more of like a Philly Joe spin on some of it when I'm doing more of the rudimental stuff. So instead of playing something like this, I'll put a little bit like of a Philly Joe kind of spin on it. And then getting into Philly's, some of Philly's 9-stroke roll stuff. So just over time, picking up vocabulary from Philly Joe, Elvin, Steve Gadd, like people who use rudimental stuff in a very tasteful, very, very musical way, and then learning how to take some of the technique that I've been developing, but make it musical. And it's an ongoing process. And to be honest, the Jojo Mayer Secret Weapons for the Modern Drummer, that was hugely helpful in understanding a lot of the molar stuff and a lot of different things about fulcrum and use of fingers. And so, you know, there's different things that I pick up from different places, but the Jojo Mayer Secret Weapons for the Modern Drummer is incredible. If you haven't checked that out, I would highly recommend that. Also, Tommy Igoe's Lifetime warm-up, Great Hands for a Lifetime. That's really good because it puts all of the rudiments together, or a lot of the rudiments together. And over COVID, I really started going back into that, just so that now, you know, I do the 5-minute advanced, and I do that, you know, a couple times a day, and that keeps me pretty well maintained. Yes, Nick.
So just riffing on that whole conversation about developing your technique, you know, in your development as a younger person, Michael Duskus was asking basically like, what did you do when you would hit a wall or like were feeling uninspired? Did you have like a go-to song that you would always, you know, jam on, or to unblock your mind, or like what was your way to get out of like a roadblock?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Dusky, great to hear from you, my man. So what I would do is put on a record, not necessarily a particular song, but put on a record, especially a record that I might not have heard yet by one of my favorite drummers. So I might put on a record with Elvin on it. Or it was especially inspiring for me to put on records by guys not that much older than me. So there were, you know, when I was really shedding and developing, there were always new Brian Blade records, new Bill Stewart records, and that was really inspiring to me because, you know, Blade is only 2 years older than me, and Bill Stewart is, you know, several years older than me, but it's not like, you know, I could go see Bill Stewart. It's not like I was trying to draw from Philly Joe, who was no longer with us, or Art Blakey, who's no longer with us, or John Bonham. You know, I could literally touch these guys. I could go see these guys. And so that was really inspiring. So if I was ever, you know, at a loss for something to shed, I would just put on a Blade record and then be like, oh, like pick something. And even if I just did my approximation of it, you know, and a lot of what he's doing is coming from, you know, Elvin or Philly Joe or, you know, some Tony, but I would try to do some kind of approximation of that and then maybe try to figure out where he got that idea from. So I always found digging in and listening to records was a go-to for me to get out of a rut. And playing along to records.
Only because I think this is a hilarious question. Stanton, Steven asks, do you like playing funk?
Do I like playing funk? I love playing funk. I mean,
I don't think I've ever heard you play funk ever.
So, well, no, but you know, that's a great question because I've made my living playing funk. And I also love playing other styles of music. I love swinging out. I love playing shuffles. I love playing with singer-songwriters. But, you know, I try to stay inspired playing funk, you know? I mean, I've been doing it for so long, I don't want to run the risk of it becoming mundane or uninspiring in any way. So, you know, as I was saying, like, I always try to find people that I can draw inspiration from. So, of course, I've drawn inspiration for years from Zig Modeliste and David Garibaldi and Clyde Stubblefield and Jabo Starks. And, you know, so I've studied all of that stuff so much that now I've, you know, to be honest, I've been checking out a lot of what my buddy Adam Deitch has been doing, because he goes out and studies a lot of what's happening in hip hop and a lot of what's happening in in EDM and other styles of music that are related to funk or are drawing inspiration from funk. But then he goes and brings some of that influence into what he's doing. And so he does a lot of research, and I can go watch what he's doing, and I subscribe to his academy, and it's fun for me. I'll go pick something and I'll shed it and I'll work on it, and then Nick Solnick will have to listen to me shedding it, and I'll be like, yeah, that's not it.
For months. but for months, y'all. Like, he sheds this stuff for months. So, like, don't think that, like, you're going to figure all this stuff out in a day. Like, even for the pros, like, getting good takes work.
It does. It takes work. And, I give myself months before I'll shed stuff for months, and I'll shed it to a gap click, so I'm still working on my time. And what I'll do is, I'll shed something at 60 BPM for like a month, for 2 months. Then I'll gradually increase it to like 70 to where I can play it flawlessly, with a gap click and coming in on the one, and the time is good, everything is super clear. And then if you do that for months, then getting from 70 to 80 goes like that. If you're playing it super clean and super clear at 60 and then 70, then going to 80 is like that. And then now trying to get it up to 90, that's another story. But I really like to practice stuff really clean with great time, but not just relying on the click. And then I'll go and I'll improvise with that idea that I'm working on to songs that are around 70 or 80. So I've been shedding to some more current hip hop stuff lately, where I can, that's in the 70, 80 BPM range, that I can shed some of these ideas that I'm working on, and shed them in all kinds of different ways. Shed them to the click, yes, shed them to the gap click, and shed them to tunes. And I love my wife so much that I'm trying to listen to her and not answer my questions too long. So I'm trying to land it and move on to the next question.
So another question I saw on here that I liked, because I was actually confused about it as we were getting set up for this live stream. That tune you started with, the Craz No More tune, someone asked if you could like count off how that's working and where you're feeling it.
Yeah,
even I got turned around when I was first, putting this all together. I was like, wait, and we had to have a little discussion about it before we started.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Nick, can I get you to bring your voice down just a little bit? Yeah. And then when you rock that microphone, notice that you're lifting this light. So that's a great question. So it does not start on the one. So it's a funny story. We started trying to come up with our take on this tune, and I can't remember who sang this riff, but it was like, oh, let's put this type of riff on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? Ba bum a bum dum tick tick ba do da a do da tick tick 1 and da a do da tick tick ba do da a do da. And then I knew that sounded familiar, and then I started realizing, oh yeah, that's like very similar to a riff of a Will Bernard tune, and I think the tune is 571, and it's either 571 or it's 571, I believe. And Eric Finland, our organ player in Craz No More project, has played a lot with Will Bernard. So, and I was the drummer on that original record. So we both had that riff internalized, and then we realized later that we might have been drawing a lot of inspiration from that. But I let the organ and the guitar start that riff, and it's, from silence it goes ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da So we listened back to playback, and even though I knew where it was, I was having trouble hearing it. So here's the funny story. We went back in. I said, I've got an idea, y'all. Give me a click. And they gave me a big count off. And I went in and I overdubbed a count off. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that everybody knew where that was. When you listen to it. Yeah, play the track and we'll do it. I'll do it without a count off, right? So I'll be hearing a click, but this is it without the count off. So give it to me now.
1 second. Are you gonna play along?
Yeah. So now give it to me again, and I'll do the count off like I did on the record so that you can hear, hopefully you'll be able to hear where the time is a little bit more clear. And I'm intentionally trying to obscure the 1 on some of my fills and some of my entrances, but I'm also trying to give you the obvious one in the beginning so you know where it actually is. So this is what I went and overdubbed. Check it out. So give that to me again, Nick. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you were a little bit curious as to where the 1 was, don't worry. So were all of we as well, and myself too. Even after I knew where it was and I played it and then listening to playback, I was like, ugh. Because it's such a groove, I want people to know where the 1 is. I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but we're trying to make it groove in a way that it's not always laying into the 1 every measure. But I wanted you to feel the 1, so I went in and overdubbed that count off. Great question.
Yeah. Some other questions. Just give me a second. Let me find them. Oh wow. Even more came up. Give me 1 second. Oh. Do you want to take a full left turn? You want to take a completely left turn?
Let's do it.
All right. I like this question. How do you deal with vibers, either in a rehearsal or a gig situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's never easy. And it's never easy to deal with people who are, who you feel are vibing. Either you feel like maybe they don't dig what you're doing, or they feel like they might be at a higher level than you. The only thing you can do is give it the best that you can. Give it more than 100%. Do the best job you can. And, I usually try to just be myself and, not be super serious, super stuck up in a way. Not stuck up, but like, stiff. Like maybe crack a couple jokes that might be appropriate. Which I do most of the time anyway, but, just try to enjoy the moment and give 110%, and that's all you can do. And then sometimes, cats that you think might be vibing you come to realize that they're just a little bit introverted and they might just be a little bit quiet, and that's not actually vibing. They're just maybe a little bit not always outgoing in a very extroverted way in social situations, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't dig what you're doing. I've been in situations where I thought cats were not digging what I was doing, and I just gave 100%. And afterwards, you're like, yeah, man, I really dug that. I really enjoyed that. It's like, okay. Well, I'm glad you said that. So you can't let it get to you. You've got to give more than 100% no matter what. And then, you know, and then eventually sometimes people come around too, you know. If they know that you're giving everything you've got, maybe the next rehearsal or the next gig, it might be a more warm scenario. But what you got to do is not let it get to you, not let it get inside your head, and just, you know, I hate to say it, but the more it happens, the more comfortable. You never get comfortable with it, but the more kind of acclimated you might get to it. But just give 100%, give more than 100%, no matter what, and be respectful. And, you know, maybe be respectful, but don't be, you know, stiff. You don't want to be, you know, you can maybe crack a joke here and there if it's appropriate, and or laugh if somebody else cracks a joke. You know, the older I get, you know, one of the things that I enjoy the most about making music is having fun and enjoying that camaraderie and enjoying the laughs, you know, and the stories. And, you know, that's a huge part of it for me. But you also don't want to be, you know, you don't want to be a class clown or anything. But the more I play with people, the more I realize most musicians like to have a really enjoyable time and enjoy the moment, enjoy the stories, and enjoy some laughs while you're making seriously great music.
Dig.
Another question, I think, you know, can kind of also go on the lines of just professional development. Have you ever forgotten a song? Everyone looking at you to count it off, and you're just like, what?
Yes. Yeah, that happens.
How do you deal with that?
Okay, how you deal with that is the second that you can tell that you forgot the song, you lean over to the bass player or the guitar player or the keyboard player or whoever is in your closest proximity who is not talking to somebody else. Sometimes a horn player might be talking to the other horn player, but I'll lean over to the bass player and say, sing that opening riff to me again. And it's, oh yeah. Or if it's the keyboard player, hey man, sing that melody to me again. Oh yeah, okay, cool, I got it. But the more you're around, and that's why it's so important to go out and see music live all the time, because the greatest musicians in the world, like somebody will say, okay, we're playing this tune, and they might say it to the audience, and then the drummer might be like getting a new pair of sticks out of his bag or something, and you go, oh wait, what are we playing? And this might be like your favorite drummer, and he'll do it in a funny way. He'll say, oh, how's that one go again? Oh, okay, yeah, I know that one. The worst thing you can do is panic. Don't panic. It happens. I've seen it happen to the greatest players. You know, sometimes things happen. You know, sometimes you might have a lot going on your mind, and you might have had a super busy day, and you might have had to think about, you know, all your tax returns that you had to turn in that day, and you got it turned in just in time to make it to the gig, and you're just, you know. So, of course, you don't want that to happen on a regular basis, but if it happens, just politely, you know, how's that one go again? And what I do is I usually have a metronome over here, and these days I don't even have a cable coming out of it. I just have it in case I'm like, oh yeah, what's the tempo on that tune again? And then I might write the tempos on my set list, and I might look at it and just, oh yeah. And then I'll sing a part of the song. So usually every song that we play, I know which part of that song I want to sing. That helps me internalize the tempo. So, you know, like that song we just played, Nobody's Baby. Da-na, da-na, Buddha, a Buddha, Buddha, a Buddha, da, All right, now, admittedly, that's eighth notes. So if my adrenaline's going, it would be really easy to count that song off too fast. Right? Especially when we've got a new record out and we've never played these tunes. So I made a point to have my trap case over here with some Velcro, hard Velcro on the trap case, soft Velcro on the back of the Roland DB90, and I just had that sitting right here. And I just look at that, I'd look at that click, and I'd be like, I'd look at that light going off, da 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 da, and then I don't look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, splack'em, right? But I just have that to help me, because sometimes when your adrenaline is racing, it's real easy to count tunes off quick. And so I sing part of the song, and I look at a blinking light with the tempo that's usually written on my set list. And that's part of my prep when I'm getting ready to go on stage. I'll drink an espresso. I'll eat 3 chocolate-covered espresso beans. I'll write all of my tempos on my set list, and then I'll play through my 1-minute warm-up, and I'll play through a couple other little warm-ups, and then it's time to hit the stage.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff all around. So there's 2 things I want to get to, because one person has asked this a couple times. So in the spirit of, how does that one go again? How do those Stanton sweeps go again?
Y'all want to see that? All right. So it's very straightforward. So talking about rudimental stuff, it's 2 11-stroke rolls and a 7-stroke roll. Okay. So off the right hand, it's this. Which spells out a slow 3 clave. But you started off the left hand, okay? So it started off the left hand. 2 11s and a 7. Okay? Now, then what you do is you play E's and Ah's on the bass drum, on the right foot. All right, now let me slow that down a little bit. And then what you do is then you sweep from the ride to the floor, but the ride is backed up by the floor tom, by the bass drum. But then I bring all the non-accented notes up to the rack tom. Now, if you want to, give me that foot cam. Since you're already playing 8th notes on the hi-hat, you can just come over here and straddle the auxiliary bass drum pedal, and then get, what I like to do is almost feather this auxiliary and then get the E's and Ah's on the bass drum. So. right? So I'll take it up in speed a little bit. Does that make sense? And then, you know, that's, if you already know your rudiments, then you're, you know, 70% there. And then you just got to figure out how to get that E and Ah on the, you know, with the bass drum on the E's and Ahs, and then sweep it. But it's not super complicated, but it's very dense, and it's pretty cool. Good question.
Great question. All right, next question. This is, I think, is actually an interesting question, because it's kind of something that I've dealt with, especially when I was in college. And it's basically.
And let me say this real quick, Nick.
Yeah.
So, you know, since we're here going live, let me talk about, you know. Let me talk about the sale one more time, if that's all right. We are doing the 51% sale on memberships to Stanton Moore Drum Academy, where you get all the educational materials that I offer. And then that link to that to sign up is in the description. But since we got a question about Stanton Sweeps, if you're not ready to sign up yet and you want to see a PDF on Stanton Sweeps, you can find that in the link tree on my Instagram, right? Because it's not that I'm really trying to sell you on something. It's just that I feel like I have a lot of educational material to offer, a lot of things that I've figured out of time that will help you develop, and develop in a way that you're going to develop things that I know you're going to need when you want to start playing more with people, right? And then if you're not ready to sign up, you want to learn about Stanton Sweeps, you know, I do offer a good amount of free lessons that can all be found inside of my Instagram. But to get, you know, all the stuff that I've really been spending a lot of time and effort on putting together, all those courses we've been talking about, drumming skills to pay the bills, the ebook, shuffle course, 5 funk beats you need to know, all that stuff, all the academy lessons, and you get access to the community forum where you can ask me questions anytime. All of that is inside the academy. But Stanton Sweeps is inside Linktree in Instagram. Okay. Go ahead, Nick. You had something you were going to say.
Oh. No, that was cool. I was just going to say, because I've run into this problem before, especially when I was in college. So it's pertaining to like small practice rooms, which I think is like kind of, if you look at this, the studio that we're in, someone was asking, you know, is it possible to get a good sound and great groove by playing quieter, particularly in a small practice room?
So that's a great question. And to answer your question, I'm shedding quiet all the time. So you know, I've been using these AJ6 sticks, which have a super pinpointed tip, right? And you can see, like, these are the AJ6. So here's one AJ6, and here's one of my sticks. And I don't know if you can see that, but see how much smaller that tip is? So you can really get a smaller sound. So at my house, I've got a small kit, 12, 14, 18, and it's in my front room at my house, and that room is pretty live. So I intentionally use that as an opportunity to try to practice quieter. So, like, you know, Stanton Sweeps, for example, since we're just talking about that, here I'm going to try to play it a lot quieter, right? So, I'll try to shed quieter a lot. Now here I'm going to play like I would play in a more loud funk situation, and you'll hear how much louder this is, right? So I highly encourage you to shed in a quieter situation. And I shed with these sticks because I play with them when I play with my piano trio right now, because I play in some rooms where the drums are a little loud. So I practice quieter, right? And it helps with your finesse. It helps with your control and your dynamics. And, especially if you're playing in a situation where you're playing with great musicians with a acoustic piano, upright bass, and like when I play at the Bayou Bar, the saxophone player, lately we've been having Tony DeGrati on sax, and there's no mic on the saxophone. So, there's some mics on the piano, so the piano gets a little bit of reinforcement, but you gotta play under that piano. Even though it's got a little bit of reinforcement with the mics, you still can't blast it out, and you got to play under the acoustic saxophone. So I practice that all the time. And, once you start gigging, especially if you're playing, like I said, with acoustic piano and upright bass, nobody is going to turn around to you and say, play louder. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn around and tell you you're too loud. So Nick knows from experience.
Hey man, you want to play at Pres Hall? Nothing's amped.
Nothing is amped.
And that's like a 26, 30 something inch bass drum?
Yeah. So you got to learn how to play all your New Orleans second line stuff at like a pianissimo volume, right? So dropping the stick was louder than I was playing. So you can't. Even dropping the stick was louder than I was playing. So now I'm going to turn the sticks around. You can't be playing like this. There's just no way.
You will not play at Pres Hall again.
No. So when I started playing with my piano trio, I had to really learn how to play all that traditional New Orleans second line stuff and any second line stuff at a quieter volume. And that took some shedding and some work, and I'm still working on it.
Yeah. It's a forever shed.
Yep.
But you hire someone to play at your gig, and they just don't bring an amp. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's what I got to do now.
Yeah. And, the master of playing quietly, to me, is Shannon Powell. And, Shannon at Pres Hall just playing and grooving his butt off, and he'll move you to tears with a quarter note on the ride cymbal, and playing beneath people singing with no microphone. So playing
like old dudes singing that like can't project like they did when they were 20.
Right. And playing and grooving his butt off with sticks. He'll pick up brushes, but a lot of times he's playing with sticks quieter than the human voice. That takes control and musicality like you wouldn't believe. And Shannon will be giving lessons at my drum camp, which I'll be giving y'all more information about that after this week. This week, I really want to focus on the birthday sale. And then after this, we're going to talk more about my drum camp, which is half sold out already. But I'll be announcing a sale on the drum camp next week. Give me some more questions, Nick. I think we got about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, you got 7 minutes before that birthday dinner.
That's right. I got to fly out tomorrow, so I'm going to dinner tonight. So yes, indeed.
If you could only use one snare drum live, what would it be?
That's a good question. I mean, it would probably have to be this titanium, because this thing cracks and cracks on a loud stage, especially outdoors. I play a lot of outdoor festivals. So I have a few of these, and this is my Spirit of New Orleans snare drum, titanium shell. You can see that's really thin shell. And you know, this drum, if I need to tune it up to get a crack out of it, does that. If I need to tune it lower, does that. Super, super versatile drum. And yeah, I use it for a lot of different stuff. Love it.
Man.
Lots of questions.
Oh, we're doing pretty good with answering.
I'm trying.
Answered almost all of them.
Good. And two, I'll come back, you know, after maybe tomorrow or something. I'll come back through, and in the comments I'll answer some of the questions that didn't get answered.
Stan has a question.
Big Stan, what's up, Big Stan?
Old Stan's got a question. Here you go. When I'm swinging out, I'm wondering about what the foot should be doing. It seems if I am playing quarters if I'm playing quarters at the same time, it's too much. But when I back off, it seems too empty.
Yeah. So when you're swinging out, and the bass player is playing all four and walking. You want to be playing four on the bass drum. So give me the foot cam. So check it out. I'm swinging out right now with my foot. Right? And you want that to be providing low end underneath the ride cymbal. But check it out. When I'm not talking, you can barely hear that. All you want to be doing is feeling that. You don't want to hear it, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? And you want that bass drum to be locking in with your bass player. Right? We didn't have the foot cam on, but hopefully you could still hear that. So that takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of shedding, but I really recommend working on that because it really adds a lot when you're swinging out. And it also is going to help you with your dynamics no matter what you're doing. So, you know, a lot of times I might be... Right? So I developed a lot of my dynamic control by learning how to feather. And feathering is an art that a lot of people don't focus on these days, but I highly recommend working on it. And it's especially challenging to do the quicker you get in tempo.
Yeah, this is the Greg Hutchinson challenge.
Yeah.
That he did on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard. And, and Greg Hutchinson's a master of it. And Jeff Hamilton's a master of it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of cats who are still masters of that, who are still playing today, who you can go watch and go check out doing that. Shannon Powell is a master of that. But, Herlin Riley is a master of it. And when you go hear Herlin Riley, I mean, and he's swinging his butt off. And then you can feel it. You can feel the bass drum, man. It's like he is playing that bass drum. And it fills things up. And it's something I highly recommend, and it's something that is going to improve your control in any style.
I think even as like a musical choice, I once saw Jameson Ross playing at Snug Harbor, and he deliberately didn't feather the bass. It was just like a drum kind of break, and he deliberately didn't play the bass drum. And as a musical choice, when he chose to start feathering the bass drum, it just like something happened. It just like hit even harder, and he didn't really change anything he was doing up top. He just added feathering the bass.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy how that adds so much.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it through YouTube, through microphones and all that.
If you have headphones on, you can hear it.
Yeah. So let me play 4 bars without feathering and 4 bars with feathering. It's something you want to work on and develop, because it's gonna really help your playing. Like I said, in any style you play. But the cats who really swing and really swing their asses off, feather the bass drum. Facts. 6 minutes?
No, it's 6.
Oh, it's 6. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. In closing, let me mention one more time. I'm running a 51% off on if you decide to sign up for the annual membership to SMDA, or if you decide you want to pay monthly. Either way, I'm offering 51% off either one. Of course, you get more savings if you sign up for the annual. But you also get a 14-day trial, and you can try it out for 14 days. You can see all of the materials that are in there. And if you decide that it's not for you, you can cancel. No big deal. But I love presenting all this stuff that I've learned. I've been playing drums professionally, paying my bills by playing the drums for over 30 years. And I love to share what I've learned. And a lot of that, of what I've learned, is in the academy. And we're in here filming stuff, and Big Stan and his team are editing stuff, and we're adding new stuff all the time. And so I would love to have you in the academy. I would love to hear from you in the academy. Cats are filming themselves and posting inside the community, and then I'm commenting and offering up how they can improve, and then people are going back and redoing it, and then showing their improvement. There's all kinds of ways that we can interact inside the academy, aside from just having all the materials in there. You can ask me questions anytime, and ask any of the guys who are in the academy. I always answer. So, it's kind of my pride and joy, and the thing that I love to do, because I love hearing from people that something that I posted educational-wise has helped their drumming. And that's what we're trying to do, is help people transform their drumming by sharing some of my 30 years of experience and putting all of that inside Stanton Moore Drum Academy. And right now you can get 51% off. All right, y'all, thanks so much. I really appreciate y'all tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
This is always a joy. Take care, and happy birthday to me.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'll see y'all down the line. Yes, indeed. Take care. Good night.